All right, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Living the Dream podcast. Today on the show, we have James Connor, who is a social entrepreneur, fractional CTO, which I'm excited to hear more about, and nonprofit advisor. James, how you doing?
How you doing, Timothy? Thank you for having me on the show today.
Yeah, of course. No, thanks for coming on. And we like to jump right in. So if you could start with telling us a little bit more about yourself and what you like to do for fun, that'd be great.
Okay, cool. So I've been a digital nomad for about 7 years. Traveling the world, living in different countries. I've lived in Australia, I've lived in Panama, I've lived in Mexico, uh, gone to over 35 countries. I like building things with people, and trying to make a difference in communities. So that's kind of where the social entrepreneur part comes in. For fun, what I like to do is there's quite a bit. I like going to the beach, hanging out, being lazy, going for a nice swim. But I also like to rock climb. I enjoy a good football game, American football. So there's that.
There we go. There we go. And so you said you like building things, and was part of that community. Like that's the social entrepreneur. You really love building community.
Yeah, so I do tend to build communities, but as a fractional CTO, I'm most of the time building platforms or applications, software for we're in web or mobile applications in that regard. But yeah, I do tend to work with a lot of different founders who are building a community, trying to build up their audience and learning more about those users that are using the platform.
There we go. There we go. I love it. So fractional CTO, that stands for Chief Tech Officer.
Yep, exactly. Chief Technology Officer.
Gotcha. There we go. Well, I feel like that is pretty self-explanatory, but if you want to give us kind of an overview of what your day-to-day looks like, that'd be great.
Yeah, the overview is it can be anywhere. The Chief Technology Officer, it depends. It depends on the company you're working for, the CEO. I do tend to do a lot of hiring. So I'm usually talking to different people about different positions that we need in the organization. I'm doing a lot of planning from a high level architecture. Hey, this is the problem we're trying to solve. What does the application or software need to be able to do? When we get user feedback, how do we best implement that? And then I work with the different teams to kind of make a decision. How do we want to build this piece of the software, and then go from there. I mean, you're kind of, sometimes you're playing a ref, as two team members are trying to say, oh, we should do it this way or we should do it that way. And then sometimes you're just giving insight and saying, okay, you guys can do what you think is best, but this is, at the end of the day, this is the core functionality we need for that task.
Absolutely. There we go. Tell us a bit more about your motivation in life. What gets you up and keeps you going every day?
Oh man, the fact that I'm usually in a different place each month. So when I'm living in a different country, say for Mexico, I'm in Mexico right now. Each month I usually switch cities. So I'm looking to learn more about the culture that of the people that I'm seeing every day. Learning more about the different things about the city or town, and just enjoying life and being grateful for the opportunity I have. Granted, every day is, most of the time I'm working like 10 hours a day from Monday through Friday, working with the different startups, the different nonprofit organizations we work with, trying to make a difference and help those organizations make a difference. But at the end of it, once the day is over, then I go try to have fun, try to relax, make sure I look out for my mental well-being.
There we go. There we go. And just curious, those 10 hours a day, you ever have days where you're just like, man, I can't do this right now, and you can take a break? Or
Yeah, man. I mean, like, usually, so one of the things I taught to people that one of my mentors had suggested to me is to say, Jim, on Fridays, don't schedule any meetings on Friday. So you wake up, you strategize, you reflect on what you did this week, probably prepare a little bit for what you got next week. things like that, make sure everything's good. And then like halfway through the day, if you're just like, you know what, I'm done, 12 o'clock comes around, you don't have any meetings, you don't have any responsibilities on that day. So you just go ahead and sign off and say, hey, if you guys need me, just send me, hit me on Slack or whatever. So Monday and Thursday, yeah, you're very focused. Those days I'm working, my tail off. But dude, sometimes on Wednesday you'll look up, like today, you're like, man, is it only Wednesday? It feels like I already worked a whole week. And you're just like, oh, you just want to relax and get your evening started so that you can sit there and just say, hey, I only got a couple more days. Let me finish out the week strong.
Yeah. I feel that. That's a good tactic on Friday to kind of not have the meetings coming through. But well, there we go. Let's jump into your dreams and goals, man. Tell us a bit about your vision for your life and all the companies that you're helping.
My dream is to continue working with nonprofits and to just know that at the end of the day, when my time is done here, that I played a part in helping those organizations reach their mission. So I've worked with a ton of nonprofits, like the Billion Acts platform. So if you go to billionacts.org, their plan is to reach 1 billion acts of peace, and they're working with the Dalai Lama and Nobel Peace Laureates throughout the world. And these people make a difference in the world with not like loads of money like Jeff Bezos or anything like that, but they just have this powerful ethos and mentality, and they get it done. So my dream is I don't aspire to be a Nobel Peace Laureate but at the same time, I want to be someone that, hey, my time on this world made a difference in the world.
I feel that. What was that nonprofit called?
The nonprofit is called Peacejam organization, and the website that I help them run is called the billionacts.org website.
I'm gonna have to look that up after the podcast. Sounds really interesting.
Go
ahead and tell me a little bit about when in your life you knew that this is what you wanted to do, help nonprofits, know you played a part in helping them achieve their mission.
Probably when I heard about Tom's Shoes. So if you don't know what Tom's Shoes was, it used to be this organization. It was a for-profit business by this guy named Blake. And he had this idea of making a shoe and selling the shoe in the United States. And then for every shoe that was bought, he would donate a shoe to a child in Latin America. Okay. So he came up with the first buy one, give one model. And at the beginning, when I was younger, I always thought, okay, if you're doing good or you're like a nonprofit, you're never going to make any money. Like you can't have a business and make and do good at the same time. That book, Blake's book that he wrote, changed the view that I had that says, you know what? It's not about that anymore. It's not, you can make money and at the same time do good, use some of those profits to do good. So when I came around to that thinking, that's when it all changed and said, you know what? I'd rather be doing that. I'd rather be building a business that has an impact in the community or impact for a certain group of people that need help.
I like that. Tom's Shoes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, unfortunately, the organization hasn't done so well in recent years. But at the same time, I mean, they were the pioneer for the buy one, give one business model.
Yeah, for sure. Well, continue to work with nonprofits, knowing you're playing a part in their mission. Are there any other dreams or goals that you want to talk about?
So other dreams I have are to hike Mount Kilimanjaro in Africa. I want to get to the top there. I hope to get to Africa at some point and just spend like a year, visiting the different cities, seeing the wildlife, learning so much about that culture. It's an opportunity that I really look forward to taking advantage of at some point. Right now with COVID and the pandemic, obviously, it's not the best time to be traveling to a whole bunch of different countries. But at the same time, I do look forward to that time.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Now I have to bring it up because I know people listening to the podcast probably aren't seeing this, but you look like a really young guy. So
Oh, I know. It's funny because eventually I'll sit there and be like, oh yeah, my son is doing, my son's 25 years old. And so people were just like, whoa, wait a minute. I would have never pegged you to have a 25-year-old son. And I'm like, yeah, it's kind of nice. All my kids are grown up. My youngest she's almost 21 now. And it's just funny because people are like, oh, well, you don't have any kids. This is why you get to travel. No, I have 4 kids. And that's part of my story when I talk to people. I had 4 kids by the time I was 24. And I had to dig my way out of that. I had to get my issues all straightened out and start my career and get my life back on track. And now I have done that. And now my kids they watch me and they say, Jim, Dad, you've done so much. Like, how do they always are trying to emulate what I'm doing because they want to have that kind of life. They want to be successful and be able to see the world.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, tell us a bit about that process. 24 years old, 4 kids. Your life's not going maybe as you pictured it, yeah, when you were
Oh,
a younger lad. So tell us a little bit about that process of getting your life back on track and becoming the man you wanted to be.
yeah. I mean, that's an understatement. That was definitely not how I planned it. I didn't plan to have kids at all. Like when I was 17, 16, 17, I was like, I'm never having kids. I don't want kids. I want to travel the world. I don't want to be wasting, and then I met the right or wrong woman, if you want to say. So, we started dating and then, she got pregnant and then I thought this is going to be the one long term. And we had another kid and another kid came after that. So, I mean, but what kept me above water was the fact that at that time, I made sure to get my degree. So even though I was working a 40-hour job, I had these kids I was trying to take care of and feed. I also kept myself in school. And so I ended up graduating with a bachelor's in computer science. And then unfortunately in North Carolina, when I graduated, there weren't that many jobs. Everybody was out in RDU and Raleigh, Durham area, and it was a chicken and egg problem, right? Which most graduates run into. You have a degree, but you don't have that much experience. So I took my butt up to Philadelphia, and started talking with people, networking. Finally landed a job, and just hustled, just kept fighting until I could finally put it all together. I mean, there's a lot more trials and tribulations that I went through. But at the end of the day, I tell people, like, you don't have an excuse. Like I put myself in that spot, and I hung out with the wrong people and stuff like that when I was younger. But at the end of the day, like, you have to dig yourself out. You have to find that one thing that you can focus on and find a way to reach that goal. And then once you reach that goal, then that's the next step on the ladder, right? Now you got to go to the next goal. So, I mean, it is a staircase. You have to take each step one at a time.
There we go. I love that. Focus, take each step one at a time, and pull yourself out. Like, don't kind of take on that victim mentality and
Right.
act like other things are keeping you stuck there.
Yeah, exactly. Now, at the same time, this is why part of the reason I am a social entrepreneur and I work with nonprofits. I wouldn't have been able to be here where I am right now without nonprofits and getting help. So, I mean, at the end of the day, it's your responsibility to pull yourself out, but it's also your responsibility to find the help that you need. So if you need help, you go and you look for it, you get it, and then you be grateful for the help you get.
Oh, exactly. I think often that's the first step, just asking for help.
Yeah,
Most of the time,
exactly.
there are people out there who are looking to help people who are just like you. So
Yeah, yeah.
I love that, man. I love that. Well, any other dreams or goals you want to chat about? We got Mount Kilimanjaro, visiting different cities in Africa, continuing working with nonprofits to help them with their mission.
Oh man, I got a lot of goals. I mean, there's lots of dreams. Most of them are, I look forward to the day where I get to watch all my kids growing up and older. So for me, that's one of my worst fears is having to bury one of my kids. So I'm saying, like, you know, my dream is to say, hey, look, you guys, I want to be as close as possible to you guys. You know, there's that fine line between a friend and a father, but, you know, I want my kids to be able to talk to me, and it's cool. I do have a really good relationship with my kids. They'll tell me things I don't even want to know sometimes. I'm like, look, that's too much information. I don't, no, I don't, no, I don't ever bring that up again. But at the same time, it's really, it's great because, you know, if they do want to reach out to me and they want to talk to me about something, you know, sometimes you as a father, you want to guide them down the right path, but kids are kids, you know, we all were there, right? We're going to pick the path we think is best for us, regardless of whoever says what. But you can give them those suggestions and say, okay, well, let's see this. I'm going to give you some preview. You know, this is, you want to take this path, and I bet you this is what's going to happen next. And then that's going to happen after that. And then if it happens, then this is what you need to do. And give them a backup plan or give them insight. So when they do go down that path, at least they's like, you know what, Dad was right, man. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Okay. He was right. Let me do this just to make sure I'm good.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel that. Fatherhood, you know, I'm not a father, but it's something I aspire to be. And I hear other fathers talk about walking that fine line. I'm like, man, it really is, especially thinking about how I grew up, of like, I was really distant from my parents, and I was kind of on my own. I was grinding towards success because of whatever my family situation. But I'm
Yep.
like, to be honest, man, I have trouble interacting with people on an intimate level who are just like friends, and like that trust that is
Mm-hmm.
needed for vulnerability isn't always there. And
Mm-hmm.
so I'm like, when I'm thinking about my kids, I'm like, there's some stuff that I'm gonna have to work through for sure before I can.
Yeah, I would say I'm the same way with out to other people. Like it takes a while to get people to, for me to be like, all right, you're in the inner circle. Like I can trust you. Like you got to earn it, right? Um, and but with the kids, it's kind of like, you know, they look to you, and they're going to come right to you at the very beginning. You are the person that is going to be their caregiver. They're looking to you to be their hero, their rock. So I mean, you know, it's a big responsibility. You can't sit there and be like, no, 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 like I don't, you push them off, forget it, you're gonna lose them. So I mean, you know, have kids when you're ready is what I say. Just when you're ready, have kids. But you know, you could also make sure that as you're growing up, to find out what's going on, to understand, all right, you know, why am I distant? Why do I do that? It took me a while to figure it out as well, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, I'm that way. It is what it is. If you want to still be my friend, you know, just keep working at it.
Yeah, yeah, I feel that. Well, awesome. If there were one or two people that you could meet right now, and this could be a specific person or a type of person, they'd help you take the next step towards your dreams and goals. Who would they be, and how would they do it?
Hmm. That's a great question. Great question. I usually tell people, especially in our line of work, if you're an entrepreneur, and you probably know this, Timothy, I'm sure you started already doing it, is that when you're looking to learn from someone, you want to learn from someone that's a few steps ahead of you. You know, like I'm not going to go to Jeff Bezos and be like, hey, I want you to be my mentor and meet with them every month. He's so far ahead, like it's ridiculous, you know. But someone that's been in my shoes maybe a year or two ago is great, great to talk to and meet, because they're going to have insight to say, yeah, this is what really, you know, in this year it really made a difference for my business, and then they're going to share their experience, and we, you know, hopefully you know, we can listen and learn from that. But for me specifically, it would probably be, so I'm always looking for people that are slightly ahead of me in different ways, like meaning that I read a lot. So I want to talk to people that, like Malcolm Gladwell is someone that I read a ton of. And so if I got the chance to meet him, that would be great. I would love to have lunch with him, learn, you know, where does he get, you know, the ideas, and how does he put, you know, what's the process of him putting together a book? Another one is probably Denzel Washington. I would love to meet him and just see, are you really as cool in person as you are, it seems, in the movies? Like, are you, he just seems like a guy that I would get along with so well. There's definitely people that I know from a social good impact part that I would love to meet. There's some, I haven't met the Dalai Lama. I've only seen his work and stuff like that, but I've seen Desmond Tutu. I didn't actually talk to him, but I was had a nice talk with him. I would have loved to have met him while he was alive. But so many people that on that list. I would love to shoot it back at you and see who you would say.
Yeah, for sure, man. I think very similar. When I think type of person, it's somebody who has like really grown their podcast. Because I think I've got to the point where I was posting daily. I met a dude who posted daily. He gave me some advice. I followed it. Boom, I'm posting daily. The numbers didn't come like I thought they were going to come. So now I'm kind of in that place, and I actually know a guy. I just need to follow up on that relationship with him.
Okay.
But yeah, I think that, and people who are passionate about the nonprofit space like you are, because I'm really big on, I have two goals in life. It's financial freedom and ending poverty around the world. And so like, I want to, I mean, it's fine. Yeah. It's like, once I get financial freedom for myself, like I hate seeing people suffer unnecessarily.
Right.
That's what I want to spend the rest of my life doing. And so I've networked really well in like real estate. I've networked really well in, just business stuff. But the nonprofit world, I haven't like touched a bunch. So I don't know a lot of people who are passionate about those causes, and it's their primary thing. So that's why I was interested in Tom's shoes when you were like, you don't have to be broke and working for a nonprofit. Because I'm like, well, I'm getting financial freedom first, so I don't have to be stressed about money.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, that's we all a lot of us are striving for financial freedom. We all go about it some kind of different way. It's just a matter of, and they say that, right? I sit there and I tell a lot of people, like, they say it on the airplane all the time. Before you help someone else with their mask, you got to put your own mask on first. So, if you're not in a good financial situation, you don't need to be out volunteering for nonprofits or helping on, get yourself right, and then go ahead and help out these nonprofits. They'll still be there.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's kind of the journey I'm on right now. So I'm always down to meet real estate investors and passive investors and et cetera. But really those nonprofit contacts, and also people who are actively growing their podcasts and like kind of want to do it together. So
cool. Yeah, I have a couple of people I can introduce you to, especially on the real estate side. So
I feel that. Appreciate it.
Cool.
Well, awesome. If there were one or two things that everyday people could do to help you reach your dreams and goals, what would it be?
One or two things that everyday people could do to help me reach my, there are a ton of everyday people that help me reach my goal. One thing I tell people when they travel, they sit there and say, Jim, you've been to all these different places and things of that nature. But for me, there are some places that are beautiful. I mean, don't get me wrong. I've gone to Machu Picchu. I've gone to Galapagos Islands. And what usually makes a trip truly, truly memorable is the people that you meet. And I mean, those are everyday people. So like, when I was in Galapagos, I met a guy that lived there. And I was like, you live here? And it was funny because he was from New Jersey. And he says, yeah, I came down here on a trip, fell in love. All I could think about was getting back here. And so he did everything in his power to move to the Galapagos Islands. And I just asked, okay, so share the story with me, like, how did that go? Like, and I, to this day, remember his story, because it was just like, wow. he fell in love with this area. And because at first I was like, it was a woman, wasn't it? Like you came down here because of a girl. And he was like, no, that's not it. No. But it was a great conversation. We sat there and we talked, and he was drinking a beer and I was drinking whatever I was, and we just sat there for like an hour talking in the Galapagos, and it was a really good time. Those kind of things, when people are, as you said, vulnerable and they share, those are the kind of things I love. Like, you get to learn about people, and you have to be genuine. So when as a person, I want to grow every single day in some form or fashion. And I can do that just sitting at a computer, working on stuff all day. But if I want to grow as a person, as a human, listening to other people's stories and then sharing my own stories allows them to get a better understanding or a different perspective about something that they, may or may not understood. Another story is I gone to Austin, Texas, and since you're in Austin, I'll tell this story is I went to Austin, Texas, and I had never really truly been in Texas ever for a very long period of time until I went to Austin, which I was there for about a week. And for me, I was like, okay, this is an East Coast city in the middle of Texas. Everybody was really cool. It was like, oh, okay, yeah, all right. So you guys aren't I was expecting to get there and everybody was wearing a cowboy hat and boots. And that wasn't the case. So I was like, okay, all right, cool. And then I talked to more people, and people were like, oh yeah, I'm from Chicago. Oh, I'm from California. Oh, okay. So where are the Texas people at? And then I started talking to some other people from Texas, and they were like, oh yeah, these, we have people coming in all over the different country. And, it's funny, they had a different opposing view of me, opposing view of things that I was saying. But at the same time, I listened to what they were saying about, state of the country, how people are and things like that. And at the end of the day, I realized these guys just want to live life.
Yep.
They have goals just as I do, and they just want to live life. And the people I talked to didn't want to offend anyone else. They didn't want to say, you know what, I don't care about that group. I want to just have my food on the table for my family, and I'll do whatever it takes. No, they were like, no, we understand the fight and struggle of other people. At the end of the day, though, they were saying, hey, I got to take care of myself first. That was a respectable response to me.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's wild. I really like success books about success, and they often talk about don't watch the news, don't feed your mind just crazy stuff. And it's crazy how polarizing the news can be, and then how kind of middle of the road most of society is on a lot of these issues. When you talk to people, it's like, oh, you're a reasonable person, even though you're like in that other group that's supposed to be so polarizing. So yeah.
And that's another thing. Like, if I ask you about Mexico, what's kind of some of the things that come to mind about Mexico?
What comes to mind about Mexico? The first thing
that pops be honest. Up, be honest.
Say man. The first thing that pops up is like the whole illegal immigration issue.
Okay. All right. Yeah, the illegal immigration, you got the cartel, you got drugs, you got it's dangerous, and things like that. So there's a lot of people we have as an American, we might think of Mexico as sometimes as that way. And as I've been here, it's been great. It's been beautiful. I've learned from so many different people. Very, very cool. But it's funny. When I went to Panama, I was in Panama I lived there for 14 months. And the first month I was there, this lady asked me, she says, oh, you have kids? And I said, yeah. She said, do they go to public school? I said, yeah. Why would you send your kids to school? I said, what are you talking about? Well, in the United States, all the school shootings, aren't you afraid that your kid is going to die? And I was like, huh, I never thought about that. I was like, you guys must think every school is getting shot up based off of the news that you read. I'm like, no, there's so many schools. Like, yeah, there is a school shooting every week, but it's so many schools in the United States that, the chances are pretty low that my son or daughter would be in that situation. And I was like, you know what? It's the news. People would just watch the news and they get this idea of a country, and that's what happens. I was just like, all right, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the same thing. Tim Ferriss's book, The 4 Hour Work Week, talks about this girl who's going to this foreign country, and she was scared of like all the kidnappings and like children would be kidnapped. So she was like, I can't travel because I'm not gonna take my kids to this dangerous country. When she got there, she was like, "You're from New York? That place is crazy. The towers just got blown up or something like that." And it was just like that news, man, that perspective. It's
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
I love it. I love it. Well, awesome. Let's jump into our thriving three now. First question is, what's your favorite book, movie, or podcast? Pick one.
Pick one. Oh man, that's tough. All right. Well, one of my favorite my favorite book is probably going to be The Hobbit, because it was one of the first books that really got me into reading. I read The Hobbit as a kid, and I was hooked. I was reading books left and right after that. But another book that I tell people now, especially someone like you, have you ever read Can't Hurt Me?
It's on my list, but I have not.
Yes, great book. I cannot remember his name at the moment, but
Goggins?
great book. Yeah. Dude he's up on a different level.
He is.
He's on a different level, but the man is inspirational. I'm like the one story he says, like, yeah, he's like, he skipped one rep in his 3-hour workout, and he got home and it was biting him that he skipped that one rep. So he didn't just go back to the gym and just do that one rep. He went back and did the whole 3-hour workout again. And I was like, dude, you just writing this down, or did you do? And I was just like, he actually did that. I know in my head he actually did that. So that's another, for me, is another inspirational a book that I tell people you should definitely read.
Following him on.
Huh?
No, you go. Keep going.
Yeah, movies. It's there's too many to pick. I'm a big movie guy. I watch a ton of movies. Braveheart. I really love Braveheart. I watched that movie so many times. I can say the words half the time. But yeah, there's just a ton of movies. Catch Me If You Can. I mean, there's so many classics. But I also really like old classic movies as well. It Happened One Night is one of my favorite movies. Now, nobody's going to know what that movie is, but back in the day, it was a highly regarded movie.
Gotcha. I was gonna say David Goggins. I follow him on Instagram. He'll just post the most absurd videos, like talking about mindset and talking about. It was like, yeah, I've been getting up running 20 miles every day for the past, I don't know, 700 days or something like that. And he'll be like, and my mind started to get to me. I was looking at my shoes for 30 minutes and I recorded myself. And I was like, then I realized how much of a little I sounded like. And he was like, just record yourself and you'll realize how absurd you're actually being. It was just funny. He's like, stay hard.
Man, I mean, and when you read that book and you hear about some of the things he did, you're just like, and I didn't know. I've heard of ultra marathons where it's like more than 26 miles or whatever. Mm-hmm. But they have this special elite group of people that run 100-mile marathons, and I'm like, 100 miles. Yep. I'm like, you don't have anything better to do? That's 100 miles. Like, what are you doing 100? I was like, man, all right, okay. He talked about the first time he ran 100-mile marathon on, like, he was just like 3 days. He just decided, yeah, I'm gonna run 100 miles in 3 days. And I'm just like, oh no. And then he talked about the experience. And when you read the experience, I'm like, no, I would have been done after like mile 10. I've been like, no, forget it.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna have to bump that up on the reading list now.
Yeah, because it's funny because he also, David Goggins is also the same guy You know of Spanx, right?
Mhm.
So the husband of the founder of Spanx is Jesse. I can't think of his last name. And he wrote a book, 30 Days Living with a Marine, and it's Goggins that he's living with because he saw Goggins was running a marathon, and the story goes that he ran it with one shoe, and so his other foot was so blistered and bloody, and he was just like, how? He's like, he talked to the guy. He said, how did you run that without one shoe? And he's like, doesn't that hurt? He's like, and you finished the race. I would have quit. He says, no, I built I'm mentally strong. So I just kept going through. And he says, okay, I will feed you. You can live at my house for 30 days if you can train me for 30 days. And he did. He said, okay, I accept. And he said, in the first day that they went training, he says they went to a gym, and he says, okay, go up to a pull-up bar. He says, okay, so show me how many pull-ups you can do. So he does whatever, 20 pull-ups. He says, okay, gives him a minute. He says, all right, do as many pull-ups as you can. He says, okay. He says, I did like 6 more. All right, one more time. He says he could do 2. And on the second one, he was kicking, like he could barely get up. And he says, all right, cool. You did almost 30 pull-ups. That's really, now this is the pull-up champion, right? So it was like, all right, almost 30 pull-ups. He says, we're not leaving this gym until you can do 100 pull-ups. And he was like, whoa, this guy is, and this was day one.
Yep.
You know, this isn't like working up to, like, no, this is day one. We're not leaving this gym until you can do 100 pull-ups. And he said he sat there for the next 4 hours. He would do a pull-up, stop, try to break, shake it out, do another pull-up, and they counted all the way up to 100, and then he left. But he wouldn't let him leave that gym until he did 100 more pull-ups. And that was day one.
Yeah. Yeah, Goggins is different.
Different on another level, dude.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Well, what's one way you like to take care of yourself?
So when I'm traveling, you know, there's times it's funny when I get to, in different areas, they have different things. So I might, you know, a gym, there might be a nice gym close by. I'll go to the gym and work out at the gym. Usually if there's, you know, maybe a CrossFit gym or a boxing gym or something like that, I'll get whatever they have for that month. So I get to do different things, different sports, depending upon where at my location. But if there's no gym or anything around, I usually end up running, but I'm really a big Tabata guy. Okay. Because for me, a Tabata, and if you don't know what a Tabata is, it's a set of exercises that you choose to do, but it's 30 seconds, as many as possible, 10-second break. And you keep doing that for like a set of 8 or 12, you know, so you do, it's like a 5-minute workout, but you get as much out of it as you would on like a 30-minute jog, you know, and you burn a lot of calories. And if you just do a Tabata every day, doctors will say, hey, you're in good shape. You're getting a good exercise. So like, you know, just, you could try it. Like do 4 sets of burpees, 30 seconds, do as many burpees as you can, 10-second break, 30 seconds, as many burpees, because there's called Tabata timers on the phone, and you just set it to say, all right, I want to do, you know, eight sets of exercises. And then you just pick your exercises. They could be push-ups, they could be jumping jacks, it could be whatever you want. And so you can go as hard or as slow as you want as well.
I feel that. Tabatas, that's a good, never heard of that. I mean, I've heard of HIIT workouts, but that sounds like a really,
yeah, it's like a HIIT workout, but yeah, it's just called Tabata. It started with, I don't know where the name came from, but if you're looking for a timer, you just look up Tabata timer or a HIIT timer on your phone.
there we go. Well, what is one action step that you can take right now to either meet some of the people you want to meet, so Malcolm Gladwell, Denzel, some of those people, or just continue to work with nonprofits and maximize impact?
The action step is to continue to meet new people in the area that I'm of interest. So if I want to get to, Malcolm Gladwell, I probably would want to start talking to more people in his, in psychology, authors in the same genre of his books. And, as you meet more people and you network, you build up a relationship, then they'll introduce you to other people, and then you keep meeting more people, and eventually someone's going to be like, Jim, oh yeah, I know Malcolm Gladwell. Do you want to meet him?
Yeah.
Of course. So it's just, for me, every week, I always try to meet at least 5 new people, talk to 5 new people, and genuinely learn about them, whether it's on LinkedIn, whether someone sends me a message or introduces me. I'm always sitting there. If I know someone, I'm saying, look, if you know of anybody that you want to introduce me to that I can help, or they're looking to meet someone, by all means. If you've ever heard of Lunch Club, I use Lunch Club a lot just because we're all remote most of the time now. So Lunch Club allows you to get matched up with someone that has a similar interest. And then you just have a 45-minute Zoom call with them, whenever during the time that you pick. So I tell people that are looking to network more people to use services like Lunch Club.
That is epic. I had no idea about Lunch Club. So thank you.
Yeah, if you need, it's invite only. So if you want to invite, by all means, I'll send you a link.
Yeah, for sure. I appreciate that. Well, our last question requires a bit of pretext. You ready?
I hope so.
I'm sure you will be. So you know how there are people on the planet who have a really fixed mindset. They're not willing to accept help. They're not willing to accept change. Probably much like yourself when you were 24-ish, when your life was kind of in a rut.
Yep.
Sometimes they'll live their whole life like that. Sometimes they'll die like that, unfortunately. Other times, they'll make that switch to more of a growth mindset, willing to accept help and willing to accept change. In your opinion, what is the catalyst that causes that change for most people?
I could say it's as simple as wanting to change. But sometimes we're hard-headed, right? Something happens, and usually something bad happens, or there might be someone that we meet and we say, dude, how'd you get there? And they sit there and say, well, I did this, I made this change. I realized I need to learn from others and not just think I know everything. So, but it's usually, if we hear that from someone we respect and admire, that's going to motivate us more, right? Compared to if you hear from your brother or something that you every year, he's like, dude, like, you got to do this, you got to do that. And you're just like, yeah, I'll do it when I'm ready, But if you hear something like, hey, I got here because I did this, and it's someone that you like really, really admire, it's going to force you to change. You're going to give it a try. Now, at the same time, you might try and it doesn't work out, and those people might just revert back to who they were. But in other cases, there are times where, for instance, I know another entrepreneur. He had this thing about making money. So everything was about making money, but it was a matter of, it had to be a lot of money. Like, he was like, dude, if it's $500, I don't care about $500. I want $5,000. And I was just like, wow, like, okay, so what else other than money do you care about? And it wasn't until he got sick that he was like, okay, I got all this money, but now I'm sick and I can't take it with me. So he's spent all this time trying to get money. And granted, okay, he had quite a bit of money. But at the end of the day, he was like, all right, I got sick. He had a cancer scare. And then that really woke him up and said, okay, I want to be remembered. I want to make sure I have a good relationship with my family, my friends. It's not just like, and the friends that he picked, he says, were all, they all had money. They were all, very sophisticated and all that. And he says, no, I want people that are good in my life. And he made a change.
I love that. Something happens, or we meet somebody.
Yeah.
There we go.
Or a guy, it's usually a woman. That makes him better.
Yep. That's right. Well, awesome. James, is there anything else that you want to chat about before we sign off?
No, I want to say thank you for having me on the show. If anybody's looking to contact me and you want to introduce yourself and follow my journey, I'm on LinkedIn. You can look up James Conner. I also I run a platform called FlexibleSites. We work with nonprofits and startup founders, underrepresented founders that are looking for help, looking to get help with their technology and stuff like that, and someone they can trust. So, I mean, if you're looking for help, reach out. I'm on at FlexibleSites.com, or if you want, just connect with me on LinkedIn, and let's start a conversation. That way I can, share my knowledge with you and I can learn from you.
There we go. Well, you guys heard him. Make sure to contact him if you loved what he had to say. You can use his services, or you just want to chat, introduce him to Denzel, perhaps. Or
please, yes, please.
There we go. Well, James, thank you so much for coming on the show. Guys, thank you for watching. As we always ask, send this podcast to 1 to 3 people need to hear this message. Shoot us a 5-star review on iTunes, and we're out.